Raven's got a nice car, by the way. Yo, what's good people, Xenia here, and I told you I was going to bring you an episode reviews. Well, you guys kind of requested it. I asked you if you want to see it and you all said yes, so the episode reviews are finally here. We're going to go into episode 1, let's do this. Actually, before I start off this episode, I want to say a huge thanks for Tuna Fish for actually translating this, because I don't think there would have been a translation if this channel did not pull through. So I want you guys to go over, hit a like on the first episode, go subscribe because he's doing the community awesome, and I just want to thank you for this. Now let's get into this for real. I think going into this episode I was very surprised at most. In fact, it was more a pleasantly surprised because first of all I was very shocked on how good the animation came out, and the soundtrack was I was impressed. No lie, I was probably breaking it down to that intro. Anyway, so the episode starts in Hamel, which has been quite a talking point amongst a lot of fans and people in the video, but we'll kind of get into that later. The episode starts off in Hamel. They're kind of fighting all the demons in Hamel, and then eventually Victor shows up for like a big boss fight. I would say it's kind of hard to analyze this just because of the fact that it was kind of clear that what they were trying to do is engage the audience by starting it off with like a strong fight scene. It was very engaging, it was just cool to see all the characters, and I think it kind of introduced the characters strength wise. You know, you got to see like Raven come in and just kind of destroy everything. Elsword was a bit more trying, you know, it was clear that he was struggling a bit more, and Elisis obviously came in and wiped out anything. It was hard to analyze just because it was just a straight up fight scene to get everyone excited and pumped for it, but it was cool at that, and I did enjoy watching it. It was also interesting to see how not every single character showed up. We didn't have Ara there, or I don't think it was Lucille was in there either, so neither Ad, but we'll get into him afterwards. Anyway, kind of after this major boss fight with Victor, they kind of take a little detour into some sort of cave, and they're kind of talking about like how they're going to progress from the point that they're at through the water temple, and then Chung kind of goes in to talk about how his father was taken over by a demon. So it's quite interesting to see how maybe the future episodes are going to pan out from here, because it seems like after they kind of venture out, they're getting ambushed again. So it's probably going to play out in a way that Ara will probably appear in the next few episodes when we get up to like Ran's story and Chung's father. Somehow them two are going to tie in together because they are both in Hamel. One thing especially I enjoyed about this episode was how well each character was portrayed. And I'll tell you what, especially Aisha. I feel like Aisha just had that bit of extra detail to her just because of the fact that at the start of the episode, the way she comes in, she's all like, oh, I just kind of saved you, you're meant to like be this strong guy, and then Eve comes in and then Elsword just kind of thanks her, and she's like, well, wow, like she just pouts her lip. I thought that was quite amusing, just had a little chuckle. And also the fact that, you know, she was like all blushing and that, like to go talk to Elsword, you know, the ship has sailed, the ship has sailed. But in all seriousness, I did feel like, yeah, each character was very accurate, and there was no like rough edges around everyone seemed to be how they are in the game, so I had no problem with that. Actually, I might have to take that back real quick, because it was interesting to see that they chose Reckless Fist over Blade Master. And I know a few people have pointed this out already, and I was always under the impression that actually wasn't it Blade Master that taught some of Lord Knight's techniques to him? So if that's the case, how comes Elsword's Lord Knight and Raven's? That part just didn't quite add up to me, but I may be wrong on that because I'm not too good on the Elsword lore. And also, this may be just bias speaking, but I always thought, yeah, Reno would have been Windsneaker if Raven was Blade Master, because I thought those were just the kind of canon things. But hey, I don't know, I just would have probably preferred it if it was that. So the anime ends with kind of the bridge being destroyed, kind of like that dungeon in Hamel, I can't remember the name, and then falling down, and then Ad finally appearing, who was making, I think, little subtle appearances here and there through the episode. It was teased, but yes, Ad is in, and it's interesting to see how his character might play. I don't want to jump into conclusions just yet, but it seems he's still gonna be like that kind of anti-hero-ish guy that kind of just tags along, because he's not fully villain like if he was Diabolic Esper. So I think the fact that it's Lunatic Psycho, he's not gonna be a villain, but we can't tell. He does have the interest in Eve, so we'll have to see how this plays out. Now that I've kind of done praising and analysing the anime, there was a few things that just kind of made me just hold back from fully enjoying it, and one was definitely the fact that it started in Hamel. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be saying, yeah, why didn't it start in Hamel? I thought they would start from the beginning, but I can kind of see why they didn't start from Hamel. Thing is, if they started from the beginning and they only had 12 episodes to work with, you could imagine by like episode 3 and they're still in Bethma, they've got a lot of rushing to do. Characters wouldn't really feel as like naturally progressed. It'll be like one episode Elsword would be base, next he'd be Sword Knight, and then like in the final episode he'd be Lord Knight. So I think for pacing issues, they did start around the right place because all of the characters are in a team by then. But I kind of would have hoped that we could have started from the beginning. I'm in two minds. Second is that this episode was cruelly cut short. I felt like my thirst wasn't quenched quite enough. You know, an episode of an anime normally leaves you feeling pretty satisfied with the amount of content you get. This episode was around 15 minutes, 12 if you kind of exclude the intro and outro, so it felt very like lacking in the length department. I feel like if it's a 15-minute anime, you could have at least extended it for an extra 6 minutes. I know it's kind of hard to say, just make it a little bit longer, but I feel like that would have just helped a lot with how the story ended. It didn't quite feel like a complete episode, to me anyway. And my final gripe is that, well, this isn't a gripe, more just like a little thing that was nibbling away at me, is that kind of how, although the fight seems to have revolved around pretty much Elsword and Alesis, it was a lot of like Elsword still relying on his sister. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad, like a fully bad thing about this episode, but I'm saying that I really wish they develop on this further episode, so by the end of the story we can see at least Elsword, out of all characters, developed fully into this like more like smarter thinker. You know, he's a lot stronger, he like can do things by himself, but he's just better at it. It's good and it's bad. I just hope that, you know, with this whole Elsword Alesis theme, they play off on it right. They don't just have the, oh, power of friendship, yeah, we're gonna beat him together. No, this boy needs to be OP. Enough said. He was essentially carried. But that's about all my thoughts and opinions and analysis, if you can even call this an analysis, on this episode. If you did enjoy, be sure to give the video a like. I will definitely be reviewing more of the episodes since you guys said you wanted the reviews. I am Xenia, and this has been the Elsword anime episode 1 review, and I'll see you hopefully in episode 2, and go check out my other videos. Peace out.